If you're an author, especially if you self-publish, you probably considered starting a newsletter. But should you, and if you should, why? In my day job, when I'm not marketing, one of the things I do is I actually run email-based newsletters and subscriptions. So I write a lot of that copy, and I write for like audiences of thousands. And a lot of people that are outside the writing world, whether if they run businesses and things like this, they have these email lists and they run these newsletters, and they're completely invaluable. And I really think that that like translates over to writing. My take is that in an increasingly digital world dominated by social media platforms, their algorithms and their ever-changing trends, a newsletter offers you something unique. A time-tested, reliable, and algorithm-free way for you to connect with your readers and maybe even grow your reader base. I recently started my own newsletter. It's called The Blackwood Chronicle, and you can find it in the description below. And it's been great for me, so I thought today I'd go through 5 of the best reasons to start a newsletter and how maybe it can even help improve your writing. So reason number 1 is that it is a low-pressure, high-output format. Stop me if you've heard this one before. You want to write, you call yourself a writer, you sit down at the keyboard, but there is this dark shadow in your way, and it's called like writer's block or perfection paralysis, or even just plain old fear of not being good enough. But the great thing about a newsletter is that unlike, say, a novel or a story, or even like an SEO optimized blog or something like that, it doesn't demand perfection at all. You can really think of your newsletter as a sort of creative playground where you can test and store any fleeting ideas that you might have. You don't have to spend weeks refining and drafting, because that's really not what it's about. We're just talking about sharing simple ideas, thoughts, little life updates. In mine, I post like little reviews sometimes I rant. Like you literally can do whatever you want, and just the act of simply writing can be enough to break through any blocks that you might be going through. Number 2 is that it's a great way to build strong relationships with your readers. A newsletter gives you a direct line to your most passionate readers. Remember, they've subscribed to you, they've opted in, they're telling you that they want more from you than just your stories or your YouTube videos or whatever else it is that you do. They want to get to know you, and because of that fact, it's a far more intimate space than, say, a social media platform would be, where you might follow multiple people. And because of this gives you the freedom, if you're comfortable, to share more than you usually do, to share your struggles, to share some behind the scenes things that you're working on, or even just like small moments of joy that you're finding as you kind of move through your life. And the more you share, the more you're going to foster this real sense of community. You know, if you do this right with integrity and authenticity, then these people are going to become your most loyal followers. They're going to be your biggest advocates. They're going to be champions of you and your work, and they're going to be worth their weight in gold. Number 3 is that it's a great place for practice and experimentation in your writing. The writer Joan Didion says that she writes to find out what she's thinking, what she's looking at, what she sees, and what it means. You know, ideas are strange beasts. Sometimes they can be an image, a fragment of a sentence, a feeling, and it's not always easy to make sense of them. As authors, we aim to translate these ideas into fully fledged things, and a newsletter can be the perfect place to start off that process. It's a great place to just share your thoughts freely and without restraint, whether it's literally part of a story or an essay or just some musings on a theme. Your newsletter can be a fertile ground where these ideas start to take shape. It can also be a place of self-discovery, a place to explore tone and voice and form, and not to mention that if you're doing this and you're doing it regularly, you'll be, actually writing. Whether you realize it or not, you'll be practicing your craft, you'll be improving, and you'll be able to see that improvement over time. You can ask directly for feedback if you want, but you'll also just have the data. You'll know how many subscribers you have, you'll know how many people are opening your emails, how many people are engaged, what topics they like. All of this data you'll have. You'll know what's resonating and what isn't, and why wouldn't you want to know those things? Number 4 is that you can build an audience on your own terms. The truth is that social media platforms are great for getting your name out there, but they are subject to algorithm changes and policy changes and trends that can just dramatically affect your reach. With an email list and a newsletter, you're completely in control. You can communicate how you want and when you want, and no one can take it away from you. A well-nurtured email list is an asset that you own. It exists outside of the ever-changing platforms and is one of the best investments you can make in yourself. Number 5 is monetizing your newsletter and diversifying your income. A newsletter starts as a great way to connect with your audience, but if you properly nurture it and it grows, sweet spot, I think I would say the minimum is over 1,000, then it's actually really, really easy to monetize. You could go down the subscription route, charge a bit extra for more exclusive content. You could do sponsored posts. You could run ads. You could even sell your own books and point people towards your own work. They're all legitimate options. I would say the key is, again, to do it with integrity. Make sure if you're putting anything in front of your audience that it's actually something they want, that will be useful for them, and that like they're actually getting a good deal. You don't want them to think that all of a sudden they're just subscribed to this thing that's just trying to sell them stuff all the time. I think of it this way: you're an ambassador for your audience, and you're talking to these brands and the people who make these products, and you're looking for what your audience will like the most, and you're trying to get them a good deal. If you do it that way, it's going to work. And then if you go down the paid subscription route, it's just a case of, again, figuring out what extra stuff you can put together that's going to really benefit the people that are following you. Maybe it's Q&As, maybe it's workshops, maybe it's exclusive like sneak peek chapters, whatever it is. You can even like survey them and see, what it is that people would pay for. That's also a great way to do it. So once it's grown, it's really not that difficult to monetize. Okay, so there are some reasons that you might want to start one. As I say, I started one. I'm really enjoying it. Actually, I don't have that many subscribers so far, but that actually makes it better in a way when you have this very small group of people, and they can email you back, and you actually know them by name, and like that can be really nice sometimes in the early days too. So you're not going to be going for long until you get people who see what you've written and they want to kind of come along for the ride. So listen, I'd recommend it. Do you have one? Have you started one and stopped it? Like, what's it been like for you? Let me know in the comments, and we'll get into it. And I'll see you in the next video.